So basically, kind of what is customer success? A lot of people don't know. It's kind of an industry tag term. It really started in more of the tech sector. Salesforce was a very big pioneer through customer success. They went through a transition phase, and everybody knows who Mark Benioff is, right? He's the Salesforce CEO that really drove a lot of that stuff. So his big problem was customer return. He was losing customers as quick as he was gaining them, right? So he was just running on a treadmill the whole entire time. So they had to come up with some kind of idea and some kind of system in order to stop that churn. And that's basically one of the biggest premises of customer success. All right, so who thinks they can define what customer success is? I know we got a room full here, but you're on the spot, man. It is. It does depend on kind of who you ask. And that's a great point, because customer success to your customer is what's important to them, right? And for every single customer, that can be different. So they could have different priorities. Maybe it's more human resources and how they take care of their employees, or maybe it's through their charities and what they do on an outside scope. And it just really kind of depends. Maybe it is customer retention. Maybe they're trying to hang on to their employees, and so they're using either a micro market concept or something like that to greater benefit their employee base to kind of hang on to something. So it can be a lot of different things, but this is kind of the definition of it. So customer success is the long-term, scientifically engineered, and professionally directed strategy for maximizing customer and company sustainability proven value. So basically, you're out there proving yourself, bringing value to your customers, right? And with that value, you're adding something to their business. When you add something to their business, you're creating value that creates retention, right? It makes you harder to replace because you offer something that's valuable to what their mindset is, right? It's also the function of a company responsible for managing the relationship between the vendor and its customers. And the goal of customer success is to make the customer as successful as possible. Again, to Steve's point, that can be different from customer to customer to customer. It kind of depends. But which in turn improves the lifeline of the company and the value to that company. But a lot of people say, I give great customer service already. All right, I do everything I can. I try to service my customers on time. I try to keep things full. I try to be reactive, and that's great. That's awesome. But the biggest difference between customer success is a proactive approach, being ahead of those issues, and then more being a reactive approach, which is where customer service and support comes in, because the issue's already happened, right? So if the issue's already happened, the damage has been done. So the customer already has an issue, they're calling to complain, you've got to go out there and address it, and it better be timely. It better not take a couple of days, because obviously their time and their energy is important, and you got to address that. Customer success, on the other hand, it focuses on the long-term success of its customers by building relationships with them, helping them realize the full potential of the product or service you provide. Okay? All that makes sense? Does that kind of clarify what customer success is about, right? So it's a more proactive approach. It's going to your customer going, what can I do for you, right? Where can I provide value to your company, to your employees? Instead of sitting back, getting the account and going, okay, I'll just service it, and when a complaint comes in, I'll go and address it. All right? That's the old mindset. So your success is the goal, right? Making that person, that contact in that company look like a rock star, right? Because you've already given them everything they need. You're making them look fantastic. You're providing value to that company, and you can do that in a bunch of different ways. But that's that makes you, puts hooks in that company. It makes you very difficult to replace, because no one else is going to come in and bring that value back, right? Because if they make a change, they're losing that value. So, kind of what the structure looks like and the things that go into it. So you're planning. You're going to plan for that market. You're going to plan for that for that location. You're going to plan for that customer, and then you're going to do exactly what you're going to say. You're going to deliver on it, all right? And once you deliver, then you're going to operate it on a consistent basis. So again, from the planning aspect, you have the vision, you have the assets, you're going to design, you can prepare, then basically it's going to execute, deploy, you're going to enhance that location, they're going to adopt that in, and then you're going to monitor it, because once it's going, it's operational, you're going to monitor it, you're going to look at reports to make sure it's doing well, you're going to support it, run it, operate it, going on further. And that's a lot of the key factors that kind of go into what a customer success model looks like. So the biggest three objectives from an operator perspective on why you want to implement something like this is, number one is reduce churn, right? That's what Salesforce did back in the day. They were losing all those accounts and basically running on the treadmill, right? So they needed to stop the treadmill or slow it down as much as they could, because they weren't gaining anything. If you got customers that are leaving you as fast as you're bringing on, then what does that do to your net bottom line? What does that do to your revenue, right? Are the customers you're replacing with the ones that are leaving are bringing as much value and much money to your business as the ones that are leaving? Are they? Maybe not. Maybe you do get a good account that you can make up some ground, but that doesn't always happen, right? So an increased product usage, the more value you can bring, and we're looking at a micro-market concept here, bringing in that value, creating that loyalty back to your location will increase the sales that come back into it, right? So this is the biggest piece right here of those two things, is basically reduce churn. If you get an account, you don't want to lose it, right? So 10 laws of customer success. We're not going to go through every one of them one by one, but there's three key ones that I want to go through, and we'll identify those here in a second. But number one, and probably the most key one, this is one we'll talk about, is it's a top-down company-wide commitment. It can't be one department, it can't be one person that's trying to drive this customer success, all right, and bringing that back to your customer. Number two, and I think this is a key one, is you got to sell to the right customer. If you got a customer that doesn't buy into what your value, what your proposition, maybe it's not the right customer. You got to look at that. Customers, as soon as you sign on a new customer and bring on a new account, the natural tendency is actually for it to churn. It means loss somewhere down the line, right? Because they're gonna look for a different kind of deal. They're gonna look for a different kind of program. Maybe you're not bringing the value. Then the natural tendency is there. So you got to bring that value back. So customer initial expectations is to be wildly successful in your product. And when you go in to install a micro market at a location that's never had one before, how is that initial experience? Usually it's really crazy, right? Everybody's like, wow, this is awesome. I've never seen this before. This is really cool. I mean, I can come down here anytime I want to. I can put money on my account. You guys have an app. This is great. I love it. Now I'm not confined to specific lunch times or specific break times. So you're really making that huge, that initial deployment hugely successful. Now it's maintaining that. So how do you guys measure? This is a big piece. I don't think we do this enough as an industry. How do you measure and manage your customers? And this one's kind of an unusual one, but if I thought about this one for a while, is you can no longer build loyalty through relationships. So what that means, and that's kind of an old school method, right? Like when I made a contact. I've got a really good relationship with that contact. It's fantastic. All right, but that's a one-on-one relationship. Customer success is about a company-to-company relationship. So what if Jane Smith, your awesome contact, leaves? And then what? And then someone else comes in. So you have to build all that stuff back over. It takes time. But that's an opportunity for them to come in and make a change and make a different impact, and it could impact you negatively. So it has to be a true company-to-company relationship and not an individual relationship. All right? Product must be priority number one. That means you got to be the best. That means you got to have the best market. You got to have the best food. You have the best offerings, the best variety, right? You can't be second on that. You got to have a superior product. You got to be able to service it in the time that you need to service it, when you need to service it, all right? So your overall product and the experience for that user has to be great. Always has to be great. All right, if you want good products, you want good service, it comes at a price, it comes at a cost. Now, I can do some things differently, and this kind of goes into to a different conversation about price, is I can bring some different, and maybe this is a part of the added value piece that you're going to bring to this micro market, is actually what I like to call is a loyalty pie, all right? And a loyalty pie comprised of 4 key elements. Number 1 is loyalty pricing. And what I mean by loyalty pricing, I mean 2-tier pricing. So if they use a market card, you're giving them a reduced discount rate, right? So, hey, I'm going to keep my pricing where it needs to be, but if all your employees use a micro market card, then they're going to get a discount, whether it's 5-6% or 10 cents or a quarter or whatever it is. All they have to do is use a card, and they're going to get a discounted rate. Then I'm going to use promotions. I'm going to get with my suppliers, and I have a whole cool promotional campaign, and we're going to do it on every other week. You'll have salads and sandwiches and pastry and drinks, and we'll do all this kind of cool stuff. So there'll be some buy one, get ones. We'll make it really fun. We'll get creative with it. That's number 2. So that's another level of discounted pricing that you can get some added extra value, right? The other one is discounts. So, hey, on Fridays, after 1 o'clock, all fresh food, 30% off. How's that? That's awesome. So now all your employees can come here and take advantage of the stuff. Maybe they want to take something home to the hubby, because he's too damn tired and wants a chicken sandwich. The other piece of the loyalty pie, I said discounts, Fresh Food Friday, 30% off. The other one is giveaways, all right? And giveaways means, hey, if one of your employees uses their micro market card to buy one item, they're automatically going to be entered. And we're going to do this on a monthly basis, all right? And this month it's going to be, it's going to be a mountain bike, right? So they're automatically going to be entered. And so basically I'll pull a report at the end of the month, all my micro markets, and say, number 5,642. Who is that? Oh, it's Joe Smith over at XYZ Market. Great, let's go talk to Joe. Joe, you want a mountain bike, dude? This is awesome. Let's go, So you're going to take pictures with them, and you're going to put it all over your kiosk, and you're going to have a scroll on there. Look, this guy bought one item in my market, and he won a mountain bike. What kind of word of mouth do you think that's going to create? So it's there's a way to get past that pricing, right? Loyalty pricing with 2-tier, right? Promotions, discounts, and giveaways, all right? But I need a premium price, but I'm going to create all this extra value for the employees. They just have to use their micro market card to do it, because I can't do it on a credit card. So that's kind of one way to do it. Deeply understand kind of the details of the churn, why customers are leaving you. You should be asking those questions. Don't accept it laying down. Ask. Why? What happened? Sometimes the answer might be obvious. It might be they found a bunch of outdated food in the market. That is unacceptable. You're out. Maybe it's as simple as that, but maybe it's not. Need to ask why. Always understand why, because if you know why, you can be proactive and make it better the next time, right? Customer success management teams must be metrics driven. That means data. I need data to find the metrics. I need to know the performance of what these markets are doing. Sales going up, sales going down, or my promotions working, so on and so forth. So we're going to talk about 3 real important ones that I think that have the biggest impact on customer success. And that's number 1, it's a company-wide commitment. It has to be from the top down. If it's not embraced by the top down, you will not succeed. That cascades down through the CEO, down to the management, down to supervisor level, down to driver level, down to where your customers are feeling that, right? They have to understand, because it's an investment. It's an investment of adding value to that customer, because it might cost some money to do that. Maybe you're making a contribution to their charity events, right? Maybe you're putting some proceeds of the market sales to a different charity. Maybe you're contributing to an employee appreciation event, and you're gonna fund it, right? So it might cost $5,000, and you're gonna cook hamburgers and have ice cream and all this other kind of stuff. But you're adding value. That value creates stickiness. It makes it difficult for them to say, you know what, I'm gonna go to somebody else, because they can't guarantee that company is gonna bring the same value that you do, right? So that mindset has to be there. Has to be there from the top all the way down to the bottom through not only the product selection that you have through your sales team, they have to understand how to sell that and how to communicate that to the customer. You have to market it correctly through the proper messaging, and then the finance of it. How's it going to look, and then how's the metrics going to look to understand if that customer success model is working. Biggest thing, and I see this, hey, I got a new account. This is great. I got a call. Bam, I'm going to put it in. Awesome. Is it the right customer? Do they understand your business? Do they understand your goals? And this goes back to the subsidy conversation. If they're willing to invest in your product and help support your business, that's a great customer. It's fantastic. That's a huge piece. If you've got somebody that's willing to partner with you, then that is a huge value. That allows you the ability to do some special things, talk and help their employees and stuff like that, and do some different marketing aspects of it. A customer that's going to beat you up on price, no, it's too expensive, no, it's too expensive, no, you can't do that. Is that the right customer? Do you want to deal with those pains and headaches? You know what? I got to question that. If they don't understand the value proposition that I'm bringing and I am investing in their company, because micro markets are not cheap, and there's some amazing technological solutions throughout this whole building that are much more expensive than a micro market. So you're making that investment into a location. It could be anywhere from 20 to 30 to 40, depends on how big the market is, $50,000 on some of these specialty market concepts, right? If I'm investing that kind of money in a business, then that relationship has to be there. And they got to understand what you're doing and providing that value. They have to understand that. And if they don't, it's the wrong fit. And I would say, you know what? Go to the guy down the street. Because if you're going to price me to death, or you're going to complain about this, and that, then I'm not sure they're the right fit. Because automatically, that customer will go and churn. They will leave. Because if they're not happy now, they're not going to be happy 6 months down the road or a year down the road, because they're waiting for one little thing to happen. We're all human. Things are going to happen. We're not perfect, right? Drivers make mistakes all the time, right? Management decisions, we're not perfect. We make the wrong decisions all the time. And if you don't have the relationship with that customer, you're bringing that value where they can understand, hey, things are going to happen. I get it. And when things do happen, it's how you recover from that decision. Again, creating that value back. All right? Creating that stickiness. Again, it's a company-to-company relationship, not an individual-to-individual relationship. So, churn. Understand what churn is. Why did they churn? Why did they leave? Why did they decide to go to another company? Find out why. Maybe it was something you don't know. Maybe the driver was doing something. Maybe he was going in there and flirting with one of the coworkers, and they just can't have that. So therefore, you know what? If you didn't go ask, you would never know. All right? Sometimes it's simple as maybe out-of-date food. Maybe it's poor service. If it's poor service, shame on you. All right? But if it's not that, then why? What is it? Understand the details. Put some metrics in place. If you see a dip in sales, question why. Right? If they decide to pull back on a subsidy and say, you know what, we're not going to do this, we're going to decrease it from 50% down to 30%. Why? Why is that? Knowledge is power. If you have it, you can execute against it and be proactive, not reactive. That's the biggest key. So, kind of the customer life cycle, obviously they need things. They're aware of it. They do research. You have the interaction kind of going through your sales team, and then they give you the full commitment. They're like, yep, I'll take that micro market. Let's put it in on, July 15th. And you've got an install date, and you're going full speed ahead. And you've got the engagement of customer. And if you do it really well, they're going to become an advocate for you. All right, you can use that person because you have that relationship to sell in more markets. That was one of the things I used to do when I put in micro markets in Miami, is when I had a potential new client, I would take them to one of my markets and I show them, hey, we're going to walk in, I'll introduce you to my key contact, and then I'm going to leave you alone for 10, 15 minutes. Ask he or she what they think about the micro markets. Ask them about my service. And I would tell my contact, hey, just be completely honest. completely open, because if I'm not providing excellent service and stuff, I should have known about it already and by then, right? But I have the full confidence in myself knowing what my company does, that I know I'm going to get a glowing recommendation from that person. Have them be an advocate for your company. Again, you're creating value for them, they can create value for you, right? So, kind of what does a customer success manager look like? So, number one, you're looking at one. I'm vice president of customer success for Avanti Markets. Sorry, I'm not as good looking as that guy. But this is kind of the traits you need to look for. And we're not all perfect. Some of us do better at some of these than others, but this is a good metric. Biggest, keep calm and cool. All right, we're in the town of Elvis. Elvis was cool. Do you like Elvis? Calm, cool, and collected. Don't overreact. Don't knee-jerk. Don't be offended when things don't go your way. All right? Be proactive. Correct it. Be thoughtful. Use the power of persuasion. Be knowledgeable about what you're offering. All right? You can be very persuasive if you know absolutely everything there is about your business and your concept that you're trying to sell in. Know everything about the customer's business that you're trying to sell in, whether it's a tech company, distribution company. Do research on them. Find out what their main drive points are. That gives you ability to persuade because you can hone in on those and use that as a selling tool. Closing the customer obviously goes without saying. It's part of sales, right? Tenacity and passion. You got to have the passion to do it. You got to have that drive and the fire in the belly in order to kind of be in this market business. If you don't have it, you're in the wrong building. Project and time management, you have to be organized. You have to be precise with your time. You have to know and understand the value of your operators, your people's time as well. Patience, because something just doesn't happen at the snap of a fingers. You got to be patient with it. Biggest one right here, active listening and empathy. The biggest thing you can act is just sit down and just listen. They'll tell you everything you need to know that you need to go get that business. You just have to listen for it. Obviously, product knowledge, the willingness to learn. Obviously, you have to be a really, really good communicator. Can't be shy. You got to be able to learn. You got to have that kind of killer attitude. Having the difficult conversations. Sometimes that's a theft conversation, sorry. Or maybe it's, I got low sales. I need to do something here with this market location. What can we do? How can we help each other out? And those are not the easiest conversations to have, especially if you're telling somebody, hey, your employees are stealing me blind. But you got to have them, right? Because they owe you the value because you're providing it to them. So in all of this, customer success kind of embodies a lot of different things, a lot of different aspects. And again, biggest thing, top-down mentality through it. It's going in there and not just setting that market and forgetting it. It's setting that market, going into that location, talking to that key account person over and over again. One of the biggest things that I had when I was in Miami is if I walked into one of my accounts and I went in and I found out my driver that serviced that account hasn't spoken to my decision maker in that business at least once a week, then I would have a very, very difficult conversation with that driver. I don't care. It doesn't have to be about the market. It could be, hey, how the kids are doing. Oh wow, look at that. You got a pet schnauzer. That's awesome. I got a little dog too. Maybe it's just to say hi. You're making that connection. All right? Create that value, create that relationship, start building company to company. All right? It's all customer success is. I don't know who that guy is, but I'm done.
Good stuff.
Good stuff, all right? All right.